So in this video, we will talk about the synchronized phasor measurement and the phasor measurement unit. So before talking about the phasor measurement unit, let's first discuss about the difference between phasor and sinusoid. So basically phasor represents a sinusoidal signal with a magnitude and a phase angle, that is with respect to a reference. So let's see this figure here in this circle. Let's take this phasor as a reference. So this will coincide with the peak of a sinusoid. Now if this phasor rotates clockwise to certain angle, then the point at the sinusoid will start shifting like shown in the figure. Similarly, if you further go down with the phasor angle, the corresponding value on the sinusoid will be changing. So now in this way you can see that the magnitude and the angle of a phasor uniquely identifies the point on a sinusoid. So this is how we will get the value of phasor magnitude and angle with respect to a particular sinusoid. So phasor magnitude is nothing but the RMS value of a sinusoid. Now, what is synchrophasor? So let's see what is the definition of synchrophasor. So 1 pps, that is pulse per second. So from satellite we get 1 pulse per second as a time synchronization signal. So 1 pps time signals are obtained from GPS. As shown in the figure below, a phase angle of a sinusoid xt will be taken as 0 degree if the peak of a signal coincides with the universal time clock seconds rollover. So here if you see this figure, the sinusoid which you are seeing in the figure, peak of that sinusoid is coinciding with the 1 pulse per second. When the peak of sinusoid coincides with the 1 pps signal, then we can say that the angle of that phasor which is being represented by this sinusoid is 0 degree. Similarly, the phase angle is taken as 90 degree if positive zero crossing of the signal coincide with the UTC second rollover. So here if you see that earlier we were having the 1 pps coinciding at this point, now it is coinciding at this point. So the angle difference is now 90 degree. So here we will say that for this particular waveform, when the 1 pps signal coincides, the phasor representation will be minus 90 degree. So what you can see from these two figures, that although 1 pps signal will be generated at a particular time for both of the sinusoids, but when it coincides with a particular waveform, you will get the relative angle value of these two sinusoids. Here the angle value of the phasor for this sinusoid which is coinciding at this point for 1 pps is minus 90 degree. When you compare both of them, you can say that this sinusoid is 90 degree out of phase with this sinusoid. So in this way we can get an idea that how this angle relation can be maintained between these two sinusoids. Now let's see how we will define the relationship in terms of phasor values for two different voltage measurements which are coming from two different substations. So here the phasor measurement can be defined as the technology which enables the measurement of a voltage and current phasors with respect to a reference signal which we receive from the satellite clock. So suppose T1, T2, T3, T4 and so on are the instances where we get the pulse from the satellite clock. That means that this pulse per second we are getting from the satellite at these points. So when we sample the data for these two voltage measurements, so V1 and V2 are simply sinusoidal voltages, and when we sample the value, we will get the unique position of the measurement on these two sinusoids. So suppose if we see at point T2, for V2 we have position coinciding here, and for V1 it is coinciding here. Based on that, if we draw a phasor value, so we may say V1 is like this and V2 is this, and then the relative angle difference can be found with the help of the phasor value which you calculate from these two sinusoids. Now how we will do? We will utilize the discrete Fourier transform for finding out the phasor value, which will give us magnitude as well as phase angle with respect to GPS time synchronized pulse as shown in the figure. Now, if we extend the same concept to multiple buses of the power system network, what we will get? We will have the better visualization of the power system network because it helps in getting a snapshot information of the power system. The relative information across all the buses can be stabilized. So if you see this figure, there are 4 buses in the power system, and if the satellite sends pulse at time t is equal to 0, that is 1 pps is coming at this point, and when we sample the voltage sinusoid at all the 4 buses, we can find out the phasor value of all these 4 voltage sinusoids, and we get some angle information as well as the voltage magnitude from the phasor value. And then when we compare the information, we can identify the relative angle values of these voltages. So if you see this may be considered as a reference voltage, and others are defined with respect to this reference phasor. So here you can say that this is leading with respect to this voltage is lagging with respect to this, and again this is leading with respect to this. So by comparing all those voltage magnitude and angle, we can get lot of information about the health of the power system. Say for example, if the angle difference between voltages is very large, that means that power system is operating at a critical condition. When we take the sample of the voltage signal, or maybe the current signal, whatever the measurement quantity we have the Fourier transform of a rectangular pulse like this. So if you use the impulse train to take the sample of this signal, then the Fourier transform of impulse train is again a impulse train in frequency domain. So when you do the convolution of both signals, you will get the response like this. Now if the sampling frequency is large than the twice of the cutoff frequency, the signals will not overlap, while if the sampling frequency is less than twice of the cutoff frequency, then sample will overlap and we will not be able to get the complete information. So we have to follow the Nyquist criteria for doing the sampling of the data. So here the bandwidth of the input signal must be less than half the sampling frequency utilized in obtaining the sample data. What anti-aliasing filter does? Anti-aliasing filter is generally a passive low pass RC filter which band limits the input signal to a value much smaller than the one required for meeting the Nyquist criteria. So we will have the anti-aliasing filter which will make sure that these signals are not overlapping. Now let us see the architecture of the phasor measurement unit. So measurement we get from the field, and we use the instrument transformers, voltage or current transformers to get the measurements. We use anti-aliasing filter. We have just not discussed that why we require anti-aliasing filter. Then after anti-aliasing filter we use A to D converter, that is analog to digital converter. Here the GPS receiver will take 1 PPS signal from the satellite, and using phase locked oscillator we will generate the impulse train at a certain frequency, which will convert the analog data into a digital format. Then whatever the digital data we have, we will use for frequency estimation, which will be used as a input for phase log oscillator to adjust the frequency value if it is not the required frequency value for doing the sampling. Then we utilize the digital filter. After digital filter, we run the phasor estimation algorithm, which is generally based on discrete Fourier transform or fast Fourier transform, and then we get the output as the phasor value. So the measurements which we sample here are minimum 24 samples per cycle to get the phasor value of a desired accuracy. The measurements are time stamped because you get the time information from the GPS receiver. We can measure the voltage magnitude as well as angle directly with the help of phasor measurement unit, and angle measurement is the biggest advantage we have with the help of phasor measurement unit. We can also have the direct measurement of frequency and the rate of change of frequency using synchrophasor unit. PMU measurements scan rate is quite fast as compared to that of RTU. We can typically get 50 frames per second when you compare with the remote terminal unit. It also helps in executing dynamic processing algorithms such as dynamic state estimation that we will discuss when we will talk about the application of PMU. We have two classes of PMU devices. One is measurement grade PMU and other is protection grade PMU.